Hi, and welcome to the lecture on building a white box oak tree. Now this oak tree is going to be huge, as you can see, but it's going to be very simplistic. It's not going to have all of its foliage. This object is really, like the others, are going to be there so I can place it in the scene and get a feel for the size. What we're going to do in this lecture, and with every lecture, we're going to try and teach you one new thing in Max with each object we build, and in this lecture we're going to use soft selection, and I'll explain that in more detail once we get to it. It's a very cool feature. Now I'm just going to add a lot of edges, just get my cylinder correct before we turn it into a poly model. And here we go, poly model. So now it's a model. Now I can start editing it. Okay, so soft selection, make sure you're in modify mode. Come down, and there it is. You'll see it in your toolbar down the right hand side. Click soft selection and expand it. Tick the box, soft selection box, right there, and have vertex selected so we can edit some verts. And what this does, as soon as you select it, you'll see all the verts change colors, and this is like an influence. This is, from your selected verts, you can modify the rest of the verts based on a threshold over here. So the lower the threshold, the closer to the selected verts the influence will be, and you can see that working. And this works on every level. It works on vertex, face, and edge level too. And you can see it's really cool, especially for organic objects. Really useful tool. And you don't have to keep the default settings, just use your influence indicator there to expand or shrink the influence. And here I'm going to just push that edge out, push that side of the tree out so I can start building a branch at that level, pull it in a bit there, and you can see it sort of helps shape it. And later we're going to use some freeform tools, but this is kind of doing that, but on a very simplistic. You can see soft selection is still switched on, it's still having an influence even in face mode. Just extrude this out. This is going to be my first branch. And you remember in the scene I wanted that nice big arch sort of entrance. So this is going to be one of those branches that is arching into the scene, into where the cabin is. So when you approach it, you get this sort of like nice arch tree. And we'll obviously decorate it in a lot more detail with canopy and leaves and plants and what have you. But you get a good structure, you get a good composition, if you like, going into the scene. I'm just shaping my branch. You've learnt all these techniques. I'm just selecting verts, selecting faces, pulling them around using the gizmo. Using move, use the gizmo. Don't worry about the triangles at this stage. You can see all the triangles coming through. Ignore them. And that's it. Just keep shaping it until you're happy with it. It's a big branch, but oak trees do have, really old oak trees do have big branches. They can live for hundreds of years and become quite a character in their own right, which is quite cool. And you can see the blue box on the floor there next to it. That's our 1 unit cube, 1 meter. So this tree at the moment is absolutely enormous. But we'll change it. See, just pulling verts around. I've got soft selection still selected. It's sort of influencing the verts around it. Just pull out the base. When I do the high high poly version of this will have nice roots coming off this, and it will look a lot better. But I just want to create the sort of space that it's going to take up in the scene just by pulling verts around. And you should be doing the same, you know, follow along with this. And there's a nice archy sort of shape that we're developing there. Let's just shape this branch a little bit more. You know, don't worry about it too much at this stage. We can always change it. This is the great thing about doing a white box version. You can just, don't like that, delete. It only took me like what, 10 minutes, 15 minutes to create. It's not a big deal. It's worth it. If it was the high poly version and you didn't like it, then it's a lot more work wasted, a lot more time wasted. So yeah, we're just going to make it taller now. Take the tree out further. So narrow it as it goes, make it narrow as it climbs. Rotate the face so you get a nice curve. Later I'll show you how to sort of smooth all this out and sort of play with these curves a lot more and push the verts and the faces around using freeform. We'll do that for the next tree. But for now, let's just find one step at a time. I think I'm going to do 2 branches on this one. Once I get the base sorted out, yeah, just pull some verts around, make it a nice, much better shape. Extrude more trunk. There we go, extrude. And I'll have one just coming out of that, where that bend is. There you go. Yeah, we'll just do another branch here. Same way, just extrude it out. I mean, ideally, we could use a sculpting package to create these trees, and that would be pretty awesome. I mean, I'm quite familiar with 3D codes, and I'm going to be doing a course for that shortly, and I might include something like this, a tree, and link it to this course. So if you're interested in something like that, just let me know. I'll give you some options at the end of the course for things that I want to create beyond this course, extra lessons, and you can choose. I'll have a vote. Maybe I'll create a voting system so you can all just vote, and I'll teach you whatever you want to. But it's all going to be art related. I'm not into creating a course that's got programming and design, and you know, it's just an art course. They are different disciplines, so concentrate on your art, get your art right, get it awesome. And if you want to do some coding, some scripting, that's fine too. But you know, what's your main focus? You need to decide that if you're going into our industry. So I'm just shaping this branch now, and I think I'm only going to do 2 branches. I'm probably not even going to finish the top off. I'll just leave it like this, because just shape it down a little bit more. You know, it doesn't really need much more than this. And I do just modifying it from the top, because it was all a bit left, a bit right. You know, they do bend and twist in all directions, not just up and down. There you go. And again, no doubt this is going to change once we get it in Unity. Smooth it all off, and there it looks like a very smooth, nice, weird looking tree, potentially. obviously we'll do for the final thing we'll do a lot more branches, but I want to get this entrance bit right, so I want to make sure that I want to make sure my sort of big branch and my arch is good. Keep soft selection on, pull some more verts around. You can see me modifying it there. Just cleaning up some of these verts, all a bit skewy, some of them, so I'm just making the edge loops nice, making the topology nice. I know it's only a white box, but you know, you should get used to get used to doing this, because it's got to be good no matter what, really. I know we didn't do it for the tree stump, but it's a fairly small object, it'll be fine. But this is quite a big object, and we want it to look, you know, correct in its position where I'm going to position it. Just pull the base around a little bit more, and top. I will make it a lot more interesting once we do the final version. We'll make it a lot more interesting, a lot more twisty. You know, we'll put moss all over it from growing from the base. Nice trunk. Yeah. I'll scale it down so it's a bit more realistic, because it was absolutely enormous. Yeah, a little bit more perhaps. Yeah, I mean, if you look at our barrel and our tree stump, that tree stump's tiny. I'll make that a little bit bigger, make that smaller. You know, bring them into line. But you know, this is the whole point of doing a white box. We can see what's right, what's wrong, and we can fix it as we go along. And then when we do the final ones, it's like, yeah, we know that that's right, because we've already done all this. Modify. Just tweak it a little bit more here and there. You can see some of these verts just are a bit. I'll turn soft selection off to modify some of these verts. Yeah, just tweak some of these. Pull them out. There you go. That's it. For the bigger, you can see I'm making quite a nice shape. It's got this kind of S curvy shape going up, which I really like. I'll play with that more once we do. I'll probably use this actually for the final as a base. Just add more verts, and more detail to it, more branches. Obviously canopy, good bark, moss growing up it, maybe some vines and some sort of plants hanging off it, you know, make it look really interesting. Yeah, so if you imagine that sitting in our scene, you know, just as you walk into that area, you'll get this tree and it's going to look fantastic. Give it some character once we do the final one, and you know, it'll be a position that people will hopefully remember, a position in the map. Aside from the hut, you'll have these trees, and the idea is that you can see it from far away. Change all the colours of objects there so they're all consistent. There we go. So white box, yes, colours. Just check it. I do like that style. That's kind of like quite cool, but all the edges need to be correct. And you can see the edge flowing up the tree there. The topology is quite nice. It's a little bit messy around the branches where the branches connect, but that's fine for now. Just give them a tweak without soft selection switched on. And I just want to influence individual vertices, not there you go. Just lower this a bit. Yeah, that's it. You can see now I'm starting to use the keyboard shortcuts for the move, the rotate, and the scale. You can just check your list. I'm going to stop going up to the bar at the top and clicking on them because it does waste a little bit of time. Nothing much. So I'm just going to start using the keyboard shortcuts a lot more. You should be familiar with them by now. At least starting to get familiar with them. Just messing with the base, giving it a bit more shape, a bit more character. While it's in this poly mode here, this flat shaded. Now I'm just going to smooth it. Smooth all the poly. There we go. So as you do each object, you can compare it with ones around it, and make them a bit longer. Yeah, so I'm just going to change the smoothing group on the end of these logs to a different one because they look a bit weird and a bit rounded. That's much better. There we go.